First thing I do is I say, would you look at this? You know what I mean? Oh, go figure. Look at this. Oh, look at this. Oh, where is he? I'd like to look at it. You should have said, look at this, and that would have probably got you off if you told him to look.
MTG, you are the only person that shoved it in their face. We just played the clip, and I know it just happened moments ago. You must, all Congress is on fire right now because of just this insanity this morning. The clip of you looking that reporter in the eye and going, what do you have to say about Hunter Biden's sex crimes, his abuse of women and violations of the Mann Act? And she said nothing. She was silent. Your line of questioning and your line of inquiry here is so important. Can you give us an update on what happened on Capitol Hill? Where do we go from here?
That's right. Thank you, Benny. And I'm so glad that you're talking about this. It's extremely important, and the press is trying to run away and hide from this. That was the Washington Post, and she was grilling our chairman, James Comer, totally arguing and defending the Biden family, arguing and defending Joe Biden and Hunter Biden. And I brought that up because that was going to be my line of questioning in the deposition about the proof that we have that Hunter Biden himself violated the Mann Act, which is human trafficking for sex. He paid women and paid for women to travel across state lines. And we have evidence of that. And that is what I wanted to ask him about. And that is the one issue, Benny, that the DC press corps, that every single mainstream media outlet does not want to talk about. And you know, if it was, the shoe was on the other foot, if this was one of President Trump's sons, this would be the biggest news story on television.
Yes. What is their answer to that? Because it is voluminous, the enormous amount of crimes and just degenerate behavior. It is, you cannot defend it, right? You cannot defend it. The way that he treated his children, the way he treated his wife, he lied now in his alimony payments. We now found that out from the federal charges that he caught last Thursday, that he is lying to his wife, saying, I have no money. Yet he's spending $389,000. That's more than the median house price in America, by the way, Congresswoman, on hookers in a single year.
That's right. Well, you know, Hunter Biden's worse than a deadbeat dad. And this is the stuff that the Democrats don't want to talk about, of course, because they believe in defending all women, except when it comes to women that Hunter Biden has sex trafficked and women that he got pregnant and refuses to acknowledge his children, and women that he refuses to pay and take care of his kids. This is who Hunter Biden is, and the press corps does not want to talk about it. When I brought that up, the entire media, the whole press circle that was standing right there went silent, and none of them had a question or anything to say because they don't know what to say when it comes to that evidence. And if you can remember, Benny, because I know we talked about it and we talked about it on this show, when we had our committee hearings and I showed evidence of that, the Democrats went into full meltdown mode. Jamie Raskin, AOC, all of them went into meltdown mode and accused me of showing porn or revenge porn during the committee hearing, when absolutely that's not what it was. It was real proof of human trafficking, which is Mann Act violations.
So we have that clip ready to go. We typically don't play clips during the interview, but it's very important because Hunter Biden mentioned it himself in his groveling, onions in the napkin filled, like fake tears press conference where he muled and he and he complained that he was there to answer questions and then answered no questions, and he was there for accountability and didn't go to your committee hearing. Hunter Biden said that Republicans showed naked photos of me, and so it's worth pinning down what actually happened. Clearly, you heard Hunter Biden complain about this moment, and here's the image of it right here. Congresswoman, your response to Hunter Biden.
Well, it wasn't me showing naked pictures of him. That was actually pornography that Hunter Biden himself uploaded to porn websites with women that he was paying for sex and had paid to bring them travel across state lines so he could have sex with them and so that he could upload that porn himself to porn websites. That's what those images are. And Hunter Biden refused to come to our deposition today because he's terrified to answer these questions. And he's also claiming that he wanted a public hearing, which is a complete joke because Hunter Biden and every single person in Washington, D.C., and especially the media, know that we have a process here when it comes to our committees. There's always a private deposition first and then a public hearing to follow. Well, Hunter Biden refused to come to our private deposition today, so we are moving forward to hold him in criminal contempt of Congress.
Ladies and gentlemen, we do have the full clip now loaded. Let's go ahead and play it again because Hunter Biden mentioned it, saying this is just a humiliation tactic by Republicans to show naked photos of him.
Of Hunter Biden making sex, excuse me, this is my time, making pornography.
Should we be displaying this, Mr. Chairman, in the committee?
Gentle lady's time's expired and went 2.5 minutes over. If Mr. Bufume wants the 2.5 minutes, he can have it. If he wants to yield some to Ms. Ocasio-Cortez when she goes, she can have it.
They read heinous fake rape allegations against Brett Kavanaugh live in a Senate hearing for days. None of it turned out to be true. None of it was substantiated. And all you did was hold up the physical evidence, and now Hunter Biden is accusing you of just holding up naked photos of him.
That's right. But this is who the left is. When it comes to real crimes like this, they never want to admit that their own commit these crimes. But then they accuse people on the right, like Brett Kavanaugh and many other men, they accuse them of these horrific crimes and lie about them, push it out in the press, and the press constantly talks about it. But today, Benny, the press was completely silent in our press conference outside the Oversight Committee room when I brought up the Mann Act violations. And you can see Hunter Biden was even making excuses saying that we were showing naked photos of him. No, not at all. That was actually pornography that he produced himself with prostitutes that he paid and paid them out of his law firm account, the LLC that he used to launder money from China, by the way, and we have the bank statements to prove it. Money came from China. The CCP went into a Wasco, that law firm account, then paid James and Sarah Biden, and James and Sarah Biden then wrote a check to Joe Biden, calling it a loan repayment. So you see, we have great questions asked Hunter Biden, but the problem is he's terrified to show up and he doesn't want to face Republicans. He doesn't want to face our Oversight Committee, and he doesn't want to tell the truth to the American people.
He is terrified. I don't want to belabor the point, but we have the clip of just him responding to you, and I did want to roll this since he does sound shook here.
No matter how many times it is debunked, they continue to insist that my father's support of Ukraine against Russia is the result of a non-existent bribe. They displayed naked photos of me during an oversight hearing.
You clearly got under his skin with that one. That was clearly a successful tactic. I mean, that must feel good because these are duplicitous individuals.
Yeah, absolutely. But, you know, I think what's under his skin is the truth. And he's having a really hard time trying to figure out how to cover that up. So he's calling it displaying naked photos. But in all reality, and we have the proof, we have the evidence, he can't hide from the evidence. This is Mann Act violations. This is human sex trafficking. And this is the president of the United States' son. This is very serious. And for him to not show up to our deposition today, he looks extremely guilty. This was a ploy that was supposed to earn him pity from the American people, but the American people are already convinced at nearly 70% that Joe Biden should be impeached because of their corrupt business deals with foreign countries, money laundering, and selling Joe Biden's power from Washington, D.C. in his entire career. But even worse, this is the violations that we really should be talking about: his treatment of women, human sex trafficking, and Mann Act violations.
So one thing that I would like to know as it pertains to this specific investigation into the sex crimes of the Biden family involves a account in Politico of a Secret Service agent stepping in to stop Hunter Biden from paying for a prostitute because he was using his father's card. And this has been reported out in the corporate press as something that happened to stop the Joe Biden connection to these sex crimes. What has your investigation found that was true? And what will your investigation show about Joe Biden's involvement in this?
Well, I don't want to go too far into the details. This was information that we were saving for the deposition and would like to save it for further hearings, Benny. But you're right on the money right there. And here's the issue. You can tell that the press and the Democrats were ready to roll out excuses and say, oh, Joe Biden was, receiving loan repayments. He's not guilty of doing anything. Hunter Biden was merely doing business deals and energy and with these foreign countries. They were ready for all of the excuses. But when it came to these actual crimes, Mann Act violation, human sex trafficking, paying prostitutes, and possibly using his father's own credit card, they had nothing to say because there is nothing to say. These are the things that we have to keep pushing for, and we cannot let them go, Benny. So I really am grateful that you're allowing me to talk about this on your show today.
Yeah, of course. It is beyond political party. It is beyond red or blue or wherever you come from or whatever state you're from. It's a moral issue. It's like a question of who's in charge of our country. Are they morally fit? Which is, of course, a spiritual question and the most important kind of question.
Yeah, of course. And it's also, are they obeying the law? And they're not. Yeah. Hunter Biden is absolutely breaking the law. He's been breaking the law for a long time. And Joe Biden is guilty of high crimes and misdemeanors. This is plain and simple. It's obvious to the American people. But we have to keep going, Benny. It's not just what he did while he was vice president. It's not how Hunter Biden sold his father as the brand, as Devin Archer told us in one of our depositions with him. There's even more to come. You see, we have to keep investigating Joe Biden. This is why we're having the impeachment inquiry vote today, because I believe, and many of us believe, they're still doing the same thing with Hunter Biden's paintings. And we also have to know who goes to their house in Delaware, where Joe Biden spends a lot of his time on the weekends and even during the week at times. Who shows up there? Because we do not have a visitor's log of Joe Biden's personal home. And we don't know enough about who Hunter Biden is selling these paintings to. We know he's not an artist. We know this is influence peddling. And we know it's the same continuation of what the Bidens have always done, which is complete criminal activity, selling out the American people, selling out powerful Washington power through Joe Biden's political positions.
Yeah, I would love to get the White House, the Delaware visitor logs, right? And figure out who's buying Hunter Biden's art. But can we start with just like who left the bag of crack in the White House? Who left the bag of coke in the White House? Like that can we start at step one? Like, it seems particularly easy. You've been to White House quite a bit. Like, who did leave the bag of coke at the White House?
Well, this is also something interesting. So we questioned Secret Service about that through our committee. And they told us that those cubbies where the cocaine was found was actually under control of the Biden administration. And the Secret Service couldn't answer our questions, and the Biden administration has refused to answer those questions. Well, Benny, you and I both know they know exactly who the cocaine belonged to. They just don't want to tell the American people.
How is that possible? That I thought all of the White House was under Secret Service protection. Maybe I misunderstand where the lines of responsibility are.
Those were the answers they gave us, and we found them to be very conflicting, problematic. But the Biden administration doesn't play by ordinary rules because they're not an ordinary administration. They're a regime. I refer to them as a communist regime, and it's clear and obvious to see by the way the Department of Justice operates, the FBI, which is extremely serious. You see, we have concerns already about our criminal contempt of Congress that we will be pursuing on Hunter Biden for refusing to show up to the deposition today. Because remember, Peter Navarro and Steve Bannon have been prosecuted by the Department of Justice after the Democrat-controlled Congress held them in contempt of Congress. Well, we're concerned that Merrick Garland, Joe Biden's lackey that runs the Department of Justice, will not follow the law and will very unlikely hold Hunter Biden to the same standard that he held to Peter Navarro and Steve Bannon.
So what happens then? Impeach Merrick Garland?
Of course, I would love to impeach Merrick Garland. I've already introduced articles of impeachment against him. But again, Benny, we don't have enough Republicans here in Congress that would follow through on a vote like that. It's been hard enough to actually talk them into voting for an impeachment inquiry today. And will that happen? Final question for you, Congresswoman. I've been told that we have the votes. The whip count is that we will be able to pass the impeachment inquiry today. This is something that should have been easy to do a long time ago, but I'm glad that it finally is happening today.
Yes, we're very glad for you. The Leviathan is finally cracking, shaking, and it seems like they're running scared for the first time in a very long time. They're very shook. This was not a confident man that gave that little press conference today. This
at
was
all.
Fear. This was fear, clearly.
Oh, yeah. He came out and made as many excuses as he could, and he looked terrified. I think that's what I saw. I think that's what the American people saw. He looked like such a coward because he did not come into our deposition. But we have serious problems that lie ahead, Benny, for our country. It's a long ways until the next presidential election, and it's a long ways until we hopefully can control the White House and the powerful agencies that the White House control.
Yeah, Godspeed. Long ways, man. It's like 11 months to less than 11 months to the general election. Whew. Godspeed, Congresswoman. We are here. We are supporting you. Thank you for your work here.
Thank you very much. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.